Hello everyone, welcome to this new video. In today's video, this is the part 3 of our Malaysia trip. We are taking one of our US clients to scout and engage with factories here in Malaysia. We are right now in Kuala Lumpur, and through this trip, we've been engaging with key silicon factories for medical and automotive parts. We also engage with plastic injection. We have had also discussions with electronics products. So a lot of diverse industries that Malaysia is strong at. And in today's video, this is the last day of our trip, and we are visiting a printing factory. It's a part of a group that has been here for more than 100 years. So this is a company that is very known in this industry. They have factories across Asia, in China, in Thailand, in Vietnam, and in other parts of Asia, and obviously in Japan as well, because this is a Japanese-owned factory. So when you will be going there, I expect that we're gonna see high service, high quality, and also the machinery will be able also to fit high quality standard, mostly for foreign markets. And this afternoon we have another visit in a workshop that is doing leather. So they're gonna really cut and make the end product, and this is actually the son of someone who have been in the leather processing, so into running a tannery business for more than 40 years. So it's going to be also a very interesting meeting, because we're going to learn from the second generation with different ideas, also the business, how things are structured right now. So I think it's going to be a very interesting day to also look into those two sectors that are some of the strengths of Malaysia. So now let's head to the car to meet our client as well as a local partner here in Malaysia.
Our operation, actually we have two operation. One is the called manual, instruction manual, commercial publishing book. One is at the place is the packaging. So in manual, we have a printing, folding, and then we call stitching and binding. After we done machine process, printing, folding, stitching, and then we have a check and pack according to the customer requirement. Standard pack. Sometimes customer requests 50 pack, sometimes 100, sometimes 500, we'll do. And then we label, and then we send to finished good. Some customer, they request to us do kitting, assembly. If you buy our Sony product, especially Sony TV, inside the TV, we got on package of the manuals, AD battery, AD adapter, or we assemble and deliver to them. The main purpose they approach us to reduce manpower and the process. Once printing done with the package, one package, we deliver to them, their job, just take the package, put inside the box. So this project we start from 2010 until now. Sony is our VIP partner from 1992. We are doing for also Philips Morris, ICOS, the electronic secret, we are doing for them. Our main customer, we are doing for assembly for them. And certified company, 40,000 2015, 9,000 2015, Sony Green Partner certification. Sony Green Partner certification small to Japanese company which is implement green environment. And then FSC, change of custody, Germany. Our certificate body is Germany. That means they will every 2 years they will do recertification for this certificate. What we do the company printing profile, they call color chart. Once they done color chart and company printing profile, we will send to Germany, they evaluate, and then they certificate us every 2 years. This is a color management flow. We use a German Heidelberg printed Sigma station. Is data go to inkjet group to print the printout to compare the color. And then from the print is Sigma, go to CX machine. They will receive the data, and then data going to process machine, they will come out the color. In traditional way, what they do, they will take the printer sheet, they will setting the color according to the printer sheet. But in the new technology, the printed system, when the system data transfer, they will do all the color setting automatically. So easy to operator to manage the color.
You have a minimum MOQ for products with die cut?
Yeah, 500.
Yeah, actually, our printing MOQ can be 500, 1000 and above. So minimum will be 500. Depends on the product actually. Let's say your product is very small in size, then the in print so small quantity is 100, 200 is really costly. So the best MOQ for a general product will be 1000. That is the best.
We can do minimum product. Example, recently printing digital. And if you see printing digital packaging also they do 1, 2 boxes, 2 boxes using the digital. But it's also cost, but we can do minimum digital. For the offset, 500 to 1000.
For the digital print, it's like an on-demand job, but there's a limitation on the size and then a limitation on the color. So let's say your client, they want Pantone color, the proper color. So that machine, digital machine, we can't do that. We can do a matching close to that color, but we unable to achieve the exact. It is the limitation on the digital. So offset machine is the best machine to accommodate those requirement and on color, size, yeah.
So you could print it any color, any Pantone color. Yes. Is that the best way to make the specification? Is to choose a Pantone color?
If your product is like 4 color, it's okay. This in case it is a requirement on the Pantone color. You know, we have the 6 color machine. You can add 2 more additional color. Mean easily to print 6 color. 4 color plus 2 Pantone. It's not a requirement for necessarily must be Pantone. It depends on your customer's hard work data.
And we can make the ink according to the specification of the code. Always they give the pattern code, so we make it the color continuity.
And then I have another engineering question on the formulation of ink. So all the measurement effort for color, is that because the ink changes property? It doesn't always print the same?
Good question. Ink, different manufacturing will be different color. Example, we have a DIC. DIC is one of the Japanese product, and we have a Toyo, and also we have another brands. We have a lot of brand. The different manufacturing, the color is slightly different. The material, the substrate, the pepper, is also will make difference. Coat pepper, matte pepper, wood piri is different. The results will different.
Anyway, for the color control, what we do is get the confirmation from the customer on the color, right? You need to get customer over. Yeah. So we will do a color in it, a sample. Yes, it depends. Let's say your customer wants an actual print, you will do an actual print and do a color make. Yeah. Keep on the any color can be like standard that. So each color range, whether your customer can accept the. So if this color range they can accept, you print within this one, put you like it and standard like data. This is how we control. Because whenever we develop a new product for customers, we will introduce them the material, right? The substrate, what you measure. So we will do the matching, color matching with the ink maker to meet the customer color and submit for your approvals. Once you get the green light from the customer, okay, this color is fine with me. We proceed to develop the ink and do the do the actual print and prepare the coloring for the final approval. Color we find the best for us.
So a question for you as far as like with packaging. So if the customer's product is rather fragile, right? It needs packaging around it inside the box, right? To keep it from breaking during shipping. Do you get involved in that sort of thing, or is that something the customer specifies?
That means for the packaging, pack the product, the iron product.
The object needs to be wrapped in by like a styrofoam or something, and then the whole styrofoam goes into the box.
Okay.
Do you get involved in like what materials?
We don't do the testing. We can provide the material like EVA, but we don't do the testing. But if you require us to do basic, SAC can do third party.
And then this is our QE 5.0 means quality environment. We are a member of the Malaysian Quality Center. There is our certificate body for the quality environment. Every year they will audit us to evaluate our quality environment. And then this is our partners activity. Every our activity, yearly activity, our partners, especially suppliers, everybody, join together with us to involve in the project. This is our sample of the box. And then same times, our side we study about the lab test for rub test, also forming box. How the forming side to check the forming strength for the box, we will do some side here. Also, we will test rough test to ensure our quality of the scratches, ink, drying, and everything side. So these two will this test. And then all this we do because we want to know customers sometimes asking us how your strength of the ink drying time, everything. Also for me, we will inform to that holding test, how they do the holding test. All these kind of activities done by here. Also some product, they give the same product, we will this. So this kind of activity, we have a 3 engineers, they will do study.
Actually, we have the sample cutter. So sample cutter is where we do a mock-up sample just to come up with the mock-up sample for us to do the fitting. This one we can do like very fast. Within 2 or 3 days, we can come out with the option. So before we go to the mass production, we need to do the mock-up. We come up with mock-up and to see whether and maybe pass to the customer, do the fitting, whether you are okay, size, the dimension, any modification needed, and we do the rectification. So this machine is also where we print for the so-called on-demand order for volume. It depends more, more company for size. Like sometimes if you need a mock-up with the size that it can fit this making, you can do a mock-up with it.
A little bit faster.
Yeah.
What's the biggest size?
This is probably like normally we use an AK size that's the guide. 80 size at that. And the inkjet machine is for basically we will to use it for the color proofing for customer to review or to do the pump or color taking thing before we do it. Mostly our product to local company, but they export. Yeah, they export both worldwide. We go export to Norway. First of all, they have come customer by some Japan. They got the deployment. Sometimes they go Uniqlo, Europe.
In the US also significant in some of the tariff compared to China. You see more orders coming to Malaysia for the last factory.
Yeah, they want some ship from Thai in both the year. Ink consumption for this job is very high because the cover is very high, so we need more ink. So that means the operator need to be very observant on the rate in a continuous check.
We scan the color bar. So basically, you will have an iteration phase that you print, you do visual, and each time you adjust accordingly, right? So that's the process.
Each print, when they do his one, they will use check, scan, okay? He take the identity, okay? Then they will do the manual to verify to check for one whether it's correct or not. So and then also use visual to make adjustment whether this is okay or not okay.
Capacity output around standard. Sometimes we cannot be challenging to success the project. This kind of activity is important to ensure we are different from the other printers and we taking challenging to support the customer to success the project. This kind of activity is very important for us.
So I think overall it was a great visit. Our client enjoyed a lot. We got very good feedback when we were in the car after a debriefing about this factory, and I'm sure now Taikup is a good contact for a packaging factory in Malaysia that can support their business here, because obviously if you are planning to do any type of electronics type of project here, it can be smart appliance, combining plastic injection parts and then dealing with an EMS factory for all the assembling of the components. You can also obviously source some components here locally. Then you need also to rely on the packaging, right? Because this is the first thing your client will see. And dealing with a factory like that, you know that you are having the Japanese standard and it's going to be made here in Malaysia. And we could head to our second meeting, which is a leather workshop. They are making the end product, so they are not a tannery. And actually, this workshop, this small boutique maker, is really doing customized products based on client requirement. And they work a lot in a corporate gift business, meaning that their ideal clients are banks, are large institutions, and they want to give gifts that will be premium with a lot of customizations to their VIP customers. That this workshop can make it happen. They will have leather made in Malaysia, but they are also able to source leather from anywhere in the world. I got to know about a French leather maker that worked with LV for years as well. And then this workshop is actually working with the same supplier. So it's great to know that you have small boutique workshops like this as well in Malaysia that can obviously be more targeted to the domestic market. Most of the clientele right now are domestic. They have a lot of workshops that they are also organizing to help and then to teach people how to open their own small leather workshop, customize everything and do everything from A to Z. So they have been switching a bit their positioning from being a 100% tannery manufacturer, which was the one held by his dad earlier, to now be more a boutique, half workshop, half doing trainings, half offering customized gift for corporate institutions. So very also well branded, well connecting in the Malaysia ecosystem of the leather, and very interesting meeting that you have had with those interesting people. And finally, after this second interesting meeting, we had a late lunch and we head directly to the Mobility X, which is one of the largest and most innovative exhibition in Kuala Lumpur about EV, automation, as well as all the trends for mobility and automotive. So it brought around 50 different exhibitors from all Asia, so not only manufacturing brands that are having their production in Malaysia, but also players from all Asia. We saw brands from China, we saw brands from neighboring countries, and then as well brands from Europe that are bringing technology, that are bringing software, that are bringing innovation to Malaysia as well, because this market is booming for all these automotive and EV sectors. It was also interesting to get to know about the local players. We saw some startup there. There were also some university with some labs doing a lot of innovation in that industry, and obviously more established brands. There were manufacturers making battery, making different lighting system, and there were other Malaysian manufacturers doing all type of products around this industry. So it was very interesting to close up the day with that, a good exchange. I think our client liked that. They could get also to know about the trends, get more meetings, really understand about the difference in and out around this sector, and also the latest trend that is also pushing toward by the government, to have Malaysia recognized as an electronics and high-tech hub now, with obviously in the north of Malaysia, all Penang, that is also seen as a Silicon Valley for semiconductor. So obviously it brings more and more R&D, more innovation, and more manufacturers that are able to do more things locally, supported by the local authorities. So it was again great tour. It was the third day of our trip. Very interesting, very diverse, and we could get to know and then experience also the main differences between doing things in Vietnam, doing things in China, and now doing things in Malaysia. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any interest into manufacturing, either for contract manufacturing purpose or sourcing in Asia, we are the team to contact. We will first be looking at different markets, knowing which country is the best place for you, and then when we identify it, we'll be looking at the best suitable suppliers. We conduct a scouting mission to really identify which are the players you should get in touch with, and then very often we deploy this type of tools when we bring our clients directly to the factory, so we can have one-to-one discussion. And again, very fruitful. You save a lot of time. Instead of doing a project that will take 6 months, you can immediately compress that, and when you have these tools, you really leave Malaysia with new know-how, new best practices directly shared from those manufacturers, and then we are well equipped to kickstart your manufacturing in Asia. If you have any question, feel free to leave it below in the comment section. And obviously, if you want to have a one-to-one type of discussion, so we can really get to know about your product, your company, your plan into doing contract manufacturing or sourcing in Asia, obviously we schedule that, and you will get our insights directly from all our expertise here in Asia. If you enjoyed the video, leave us an up, and I see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.